AI. It's everywhere these days, right?
It really is.
But for all the talk about self-driving cars and, robots, there's this whole other side to it.
Right.
The ethics of it all.
Exactly.
As AI gets more and more powerful, it's not just can it do something, but should it?
You've hit the nail on the head there.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay.
We've got some excerpts from, let me see, it's called Understanding AI Ethical Considerations, a Comprehensive Guide.
Sounds comprehensive.
It is. And by the end of this, I really hope, no matter how techie you are or aren't, you'll get why this stuff matters to you. Think of it like a crash course in responsible AI, I guess.
Love it.
We're talking AI bias in hiring.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Not just some sci-fi thing. The whole black box problem. How can we trust AI if we don't even know how it's making decisions?
That's a big one, yeah.
And even AI being used for bad stuff, like deep fakes.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. So to kick things off, what exactly are these ethical considerations when it comes to AI?
Well, it's not just one thing. It's like this whole network of issues.
Okay.
As AI gets more and more powerful, the stakes get higher.
Yeah.
So we got to think about fairness. Can AI be discriminatory?
Yeah.
Then there's the transparency thing we talked about, that black box. And of course, privacy.
Right.
AI needs data, a lot of it.
Yeah.
And often that data is ours. And then there's safety. What happens if AI makes mistakes, gets hacked, or even used intentionally to cause harm?
And I guess tying into all this is the human element. Like, we can't just let AI run wild, right?
Absolutely not. We need checks and balances.
Human oversight.
Exactly.
This isn't some sci-fi movie where AI takes over. This is our world right now.
It is, and it's affecting people's lives in very real ways.
So, okay, this fairness thing. Can you give me like a real-world example of how AI could be, unfair?
Sure. Imagine an AI system that's, deciding who gets a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty harmless, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
But what if it's inadvertently biased against certain zip codes? Or people with certain financial histories? Suddenly, it's not just numbers, it's people's lives being impacted.
Wow. That really brings it home.
It does.
So how do we prevent that? How do we make sure AI is actually fair?
Well, that's where the transparency thing comes in.
Right. The black box.
If we can't understand how an AI is making its decisions, how can we trust it?
Right.
Especially in situations like loan applications.
It'd be like going to a doctor and they just say, you're sick, but don't tell you why.
Exactly. You'd want to know what they based that on, what tests they ran.
Absolutely. And speaking of data, AI seems to need a lot of it.
Oh, it's hungry for data.
Yeah.
It's the fuel that powers its learning.
But then doesn't that raise concerns about privacy? I mean, we're talking about our online behavior, our purchases, maybe even like social media stuff.
All of that. And that's why data protection is a huge part of this whole ethical AI conversation.
So how do we balance the potential benefits of AI with the need to keep our information private?
That's the million-dollar question. Researchers are working on techniques that, let AI learn from data without compromising individual privacy.
Okay.
One really interesting one is called differential privacy.
Okay.
It's like adding noise to the data.
Noise.
Yeah, so it's hard to identify any one person.
I see.
But the overall patterns, the stuff AI needs to learn, that's still there.
Clever.
But then even if we get the privacy thing sorted out, what about security? I mean, AI is getting into everything.
True.
Critical infrastructure even.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
What if an AI running a power grid gets hacked?
Oh, man.
Or an AI controlling traffic lights goes haywire? The consequences could be disastrous.
That's a scary thought.
It is. And that's why human oversight is so important.
Right. We can't just set these AIs loose and hope for the best.
No way. We need humans in the loop, making sure things are running as they should.
So this isn't just about the AI itself, it's about the people behind it.
Exactly. The developers, the policymakers, even the everyday users. We all have a role to play in making sure AI is used ethically and responsibly.
This is getting pretty deep. But before we go even further down this rabbit hole, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked a lot about the risks, but what about human judgment? How does that fit into this whole AI puzzle?
So we've been talking a lot about AI and the ethics of it all. And it's striking me that human judgment, like our own decision making, is a key piece of this whole puzzle.
Oh, absolutely. You can't really separate the two, can you?
It seems like it's not just about, the algorithms and the code, but about how we as humans are guiding and shaping AI.
It's a partnership, really.
Yeah.
AI is amazing at crunching numbers, finding those patterns that we'd miss.
Right.
But it's missing something crucial.
What's that? That human touch.
Yeah.
Ethics, context, even just that gut feeling we have sometimes.
So you're saying we can't just hand over the reins to AI and let it make all the decisions.
Exactly. The best decisions, the most responsible ones, come from AI informing human judgment.
Not replacing it.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Okay, so can you give me like a concrete example of how human judgment can actually guide AI in the right direction?
Let's think about that bias issue we touched on earlier. AI can spot patterns, make predictions, but it can also unintentionally, perpetuate existing biases.
If those biases are baked into the data it learns from.
Exactly. So it's not enough to just feed an AI system tons of data. We need to make sure that data itself is, fair, representative. That's where human judgment comes in. We need people who understand not just data science, but like social dynamics, history.
The bigger picture.
Yeah, they can curate the data, evaluate it, make sure it's reflecting a more balanced, inclusive perspective.
It's almost like we need like data ethicists or something.
I like that. Someone who can be a guardian of the information that shapes AI's understanding.
Right, because if the data's bad, the AI's output will be bad. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. And this human oversight, it's not just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It needs to be ongoing. We got to monitor these AI systems, make sure they're not causing harm, perpetuating biases. We need feedback loops where human experts can step in.
Course correct if things go wrong.
Yeah. Spot problems early on, make adjustments to the system, or even the algorithms themselves.
So it's a constant back and forth between AI and human intelligence.
It should be. It's how we learn from each other. It's how we make sure AI is truly serving us, not the other way around.
That's a good point. Earlier we talked about that black box problem where it's hard to understand how AI reaches its conclusions. Can human judgment help make AI more transparent so we can actually trust it?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there's a whole field emerging around this. Explainable AI. XAI for short.
Getchy.
It's all about developing techniques that make AI's decision-making process, more understandable to us mere mortals.
So instead of just getting an answer from AI, we get to see its work.
Exactly. Like think about a doctor using AI for diagnosis.
Okay.
It's not enough for the AI to say, this patient has X. The doctor needs to know why. What factors do the AI consider? How confident is it?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Like, show your work, AI.
Exactly. Yeah. It's crucial for building trust, especially in sensitive fields like healthcare.
Right, where the stakes are high. And it's not just about trusting the AI itself, but about, empowering humans to actually use it effectively.
You got it. If we understand how it works, we can spot its limitations, its biases.
We're informed decisions.
Exactly. So transparency really is key for accountability, for collaboration.
It's the foundation for everything else we've been talking about. But okay, let's shift gears a little. We've talked a lot about the risks and challenges, but AI also has this huge potential for good, right?
Oh, absolutely. It can solve some of the world's toughest problems. We're already seeing it in medicine, energy, even agriculture.
Wow.
But the key is making sure it's guided by human values, ethics, a deep understanding of the consequences.
So we need people who can see the bigger picture.
Yes. People who can envision how AI can be used to benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
So it's not just technical skills. It's about vision.
Absolutely. We need people who can think creatively, ethically, and strategically. People who can bridge the gap between the technical world of AI and the human world of, values, needs, and dreams.
It's about making sure AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
You got it. And that's why this whole conversation about human judgment is so crucial. We need people who can see the potential problems before they arise, ask the tough questions, and make sure AI is aligned with our shared values and goals.
This has been really eye-opening. It's clear that responsible AI isn't just about the tech itself, but about the human choices we make every step of the way. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Bias, transparency, the role of human judgment, all these complex issues around AI. But I'm curious, what's next? Where do we go from here? What does the future of AI look like?
Well, that's the exciting part, isn't it? The future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's something we're actively shaping.
Oh, okay. So we're not just along for the ride.
Definitely not. Every decision we make, every line of code we write, every conversation we have about AI, it's all shaping the path ahead.
So it's both empowering and honestly a little bit scary, right? We have a lot of responsibility here.
Absolutely. The choices we make now, they're going to have a ripple effect for generations to come. How AI integrates into our lives, our society, even, how we define what it means to be human.
Big stuff. So given all that, what are some practical things we can do to make sure AI is used for good, for the benefit of everyone?
Well, for starters, we need to build a culture of responsible AI development. And I think education is key. Developers, policymakers, even everyday people, we all need to understand the potential benefits and risks.
This is about awareness.
Yeah. And empowering people to have these conversations, to advocate for ethical AI practices.
Right. But it can't just be all talk, right? We need some concrete action.
Absolutely. We need actual ethical guidelines, frameworks that can give practical guidance for how AI is developed and used.
So rules of the road for AI.
Exactly. And these rules need to be adaptable. AI is constantly evolving, so our guidelines need to keep pace. We can't predict every challenge, but we can create a framework that encourages thoughtful consideration and course correction when we need it.
Makes sense. Earlier, we talked about collaboration, about bringing in diverse perspectives to shape the future of AI. Who needs to be at the table for these conversations?
Well, the more the merrier, I say. We need everyone, from computer scientists and ethicists to, lawyers, social scientists, even artists and philosophers.
Wow, a real mix of minds.
Right. We got to break down those silos and create spaces where these different perspectives can clash, generate new ideas.
So it's about taking a holistic view of AI, recognizing that its impact goes way beyond just the technical stuff.
Exactly. It's about society, about culture, about what kind of future we want to create.
And it's not just about the experts, right? Everyday people need a voice in this, too.
Absolutely. We need to engage the public, make sure the people who are most affected by AI have a say in how it's developed and used.
I mean, AI is a global phenomenon, right? So these conversations need to happen on a global scale, too.
You're absolutely right. We need international collaboration, agreements on these ethical principles, and ways to share knowledge and best practices. No one country can tackle this alone.
We're all in this together. Throughout this whole deep dive, we've talked a lot about human judgment, about the role we play in navigating this complex world of AI. So as we wrap things up, I got to ask, what does it mean to be responsible in the age of AI?
That's the core question, isn't it? And for me, it starts with humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that AI is a powerful tool, but it has limits.
So we need to approach it with a sense of caution, but also curiosity, a willingness to learn and adapt.
Exactly. And we need critical thinking skills, the ability to question assumptions, evaluate evidence, and not just buy into the hype.
Right, because AI isn't some magical objective thing. It's a human creation, with all our biases and limitations baked in.
You got it. And finally, we need empathy. We got to consider the impact of AI on everyone, especially the most vulnerable among us. Responsible AI, it's not just about the tech. It's about building a more just and equitable world for all.
So it all comes back to that core idea. AI serving humanity, not the other way around. This has been an incredible journey, and I really hope our listeners have a better understanding of just how much we all have a stake in the future of AI.
I couldn't agree more. The future is unfolding right now, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we can all be proud of.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and keep those conversations going, folks, because the future of AI is in our hands.